weight of the world up on my back like Atlas. When it comes to the catalyst, you know that we get right. Keep it on the mic, the Dolomite with a satellite. Coming back with orbit moons and a satellite. Said it again with that melanin skin, color cinnamon. You know we right in the blend. It's from Santa Cruz, San Francisco, Santa Fe, a little Santa Pop. The doc coming this way to sway like tech, claiming respect or not. Doesn't matter, everybody know we gets it hot. Woo! It's like the real type of Texaco, New Mexico, the ill Southwest, hard to digest, fresh like a Tribe Called Quest. Little fight to the diggy, getting mics for the illin', coming back for the killing. Yeah, I'm bringing the healing. Got my third eye open, while I'm potent and overdosing. Realist on a microphone, approaching the rail. California coming back with the sunset's massive appeal. So what they feel is on, never stop. I always come through, always getting the props. Irrelevant, intelligent, I stay ahead of the cops. Coming back on the real shit, keep it on the humble. Come through quick, it's like that concrete jungle. Just a little bird, but come back to her. Got the real network, fuck your network money. It's all getting real, yo, fuck that dummy. Ain't illest on the polo, fucking around. Ain't really about the dolo. You know I know my wino. It's like that Barolo, the realest Barbaresco. The realest on that microphone and coming through that flesh flow. Coming up out the gas, so fuck around and get it. It's ill on the microphone, too legit to quit it. Them hammer pants, that B-boy stance on that realest romance. Yo, you had your chance, but I'm bringing it back like that old school rap. I'm going to classical, you know that I don't need the battle foes, and if I did it, then I can't even admit it. Keeping it fresh from Santa Cruz to the Jerusalem critics.
Woo! Going off, dog. That was some good shit, man. That was sick.
Alright, my name is John Flows. I'm from New York, California, and I think the stories of hip hop.
So we killed the show, and after that we got in pretty good with Audio Drew. He told me about Cypher Nights, and those are on Wednesdays. I think I was told that they don't do that anymore, but it was really dope to be in a room full of MCs. I just do it because I love it, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I met 40 Ounce Phil, Anthem from Live and Direct, Freddie B, guys from 607, very dope by the way, James Butcher, Bigsby Ron, the Three-Headed Dragons, Red Baron, and Jeff Turner, and so many other MCs. These MCs bleed hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know, every night they were there. They were always spitting. They were always, you know, jumping on the mic. You know, that's why I fell in love with that bar and the people there, because it was so fucking real. You could not find that shit anywhere else. Nowhere else you can find that type of love for the music. Everywhere you go, it's like everyone's trying to fucking outshine each other. Everyone has each other's backs. By the way, when you're doing shows and you fuck up, it's not like 8 Mile. So if you're ever scared of doing a show and you're just scared of that moment, don't be afraid of that. A lot of crowds, I mean, some places, depends on where you live. I'm in California. I don't know if that makes a difference. But when I would mess up during a show or anything like that, the MCs, the crowds, they were also super supportive. You know, the people that come out to see me, if they just, you know, see me flop on stage, not pass out, they would just, you know, give a clap and say, hey, keep going, you know, you got it. It was never anything like that. I'm telling you, they were the realest, and they are the realest MCs, and I'm so honored to see them rising today. These fucking guys are doing show after show after show after show, and I'm extremely proud of them. I'm sorry guys I haven't made it out to a lot of the shows. You know, I kind of got my hands tied. I have mad respect for you guys. I felt more comfortable with performing and thought that my dream was more obtainable, and that was to perform at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, California. But how do I get there? So I would go out to other hip-hop shows and try to talk to the main headliner and see how I can get on a show with them, and, you know, eventually meet the right people and work my way to my version of the top. Because I felt once I got to the Catalyst that I will feel accomplished. you know, starting out just writing my horrible little songs with my cousins and stuff. And granted, some were very good, but seeing those little songs grow into something where I can obtain the goal so big to me, it was huge. So I would go out to all these different hip-hop shows in the area and you know, ask the performers of like, hey, how can I get on a show with you? And there was one in particular that it was a big reality check for a second. I get it, I'm a no one, and going up to these other artists, you know, I figured that they might know what it feels like to start from nothing and try to get to a certain point. So I went up to this I'm not gonna say his name just because I don't want to completely shit on the guy, but I went to his show specifically so I can talk to him. And I liked his music. He was playing at the tavern. I wanted to know how I can get on a show and open for him. And the biggest thing I would say for anyone trying to get into doing shows, or like, oh, how can I do that? You know, how can I perform? How can I get into that venue? Or how could ask? I quickly realized that if you want something, you know, approach it. It's scary. It's fucking terrifying sometimes, but you know, it was something where I had to find out this is how you do it. At the end, you know, he was talking to everybody and everyone's kind of crowding around him, so I kind of waited until you know, that kind of dissipated and he was kind of by himself, or with somebody, but he was kind of by himself. And when I asked him, I was like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm Fathom. I was wondering how I can get on a show with you. He kind of brushed me off and was like, oh yeah, hit me up. And turned around, and I looked at my buddy that was standing with me, and he was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I don't know, bro, I'm gonna go have a cigarette. So I went outside, kind of bummed out, and while I was outside smoking a cigarette, I looked over and they had a cypher going on outside. So I walked over and we started busting flows, having a good time, and I kind of brushed that off. Brushed the whole thing off, don't let it ruin the mood, and you know, I just do what you love, you know what I'm saying? So I went out there, we started, you know, busting flows to each other, freestyling. Not the best freestyler, by the way, but you know, I did my thing, and unbeknownst to me, that there was a CEO of a company called California Live. His name was Rain. You know, he was in the cypher, he was busting flows too. You know, we're all rhyming, and eventually the cops came over and they were like, hey, it's too loud. We had this huge boom box and stuff like that, but you know, after we kind of all separated, he came over and he was like, hey, you know, he's like, hey, you're pretty dope, and I was like, hey, thanks, man. And he was like, how do you feel about performing at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz? It got so real, so fucking quick. Acted super brand new. He goes, yeah, go ahead and talk to DK. He's over there by the door. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ran over and I talked to DK, which, you know, what's up, DK? What's up, Rain? And from there, we just did show after show after show. You know, those guys hooked up the dopest shows. You know, I performed at the Catalyst with Sage Francis. I opened at the X Bar with Afro Man.
They said move out or come back. Yo, that statement is absurd. This is for all you rappers. Do you get my ass? Remember one of your friends that you can't put a money. Nigga, what's like that? We fight back. I'll never go the white dress. I'm fighting back. It's funny when I get you on the battle. Like you gotta have a low back.
The Agenda Lounge with the Loonies. I opened up with Smoothie and it was pretty dope, but you know, the crowd was kind of weird, and you know, that's all I'm gonna say. I would not be able to get to those spots without them. They did so much work in the, you know, behind the scenes kind of stuff, talking to booking and all that stuff, and they were They were the show managers, and you know, I'd get a call from them. Hey, I got a show for this guy, and at this many tickets. Can you want to do it? I had such an amazing time with that company and those guys. They made such a huge difference on what I felt like I can approach, or you know, anything like that. I felt like I was on top of the world. I made it to the goal. That's all I wanted more than anything in, you know, in music or just somewhere I thought that was impossible. I was ecstatic with the opportunity that they gave me. At the Catalyst, I met Maxwell. He's a photographer, a videographer. He's actually doing tours with like Stick Figure and all these other bands. It's really dope. I met him. He came up to me before one of the shows. We were kind of in the atrium, just kind of chilling out, waiting for the show to start. And we're kind of doing sound check and stuff, and he'd come over. Hey man, I could take pictures of you. Had, you know, $25 or whatever it was at the time. I was like, yeah, of course, man. Shot him some money, and he took pictures, sent them to my email, and he did amazing work. But he hustled. He fucking made moves, constant moves, and he still is. Utmost respect for this guy because he's so young, and at the time he was even younger. He was super early 20s. Down the road, we did music videos together. I talked about him in one of my other videos of him doing one of the music videos, and I did a shout out to him. He really did some work that brought one of my songs to another level. So I became one of the regular openers at the Catalyst, and you know, show after show, risk after risk, you know, we just kept growing, and that's how it was for a while.
Yo, let me show you with one verse that it should always come first. I'm cursing the next rapper to chat about the guy with a short burst. You need to nurse him back to health. Trusting on his favor well. Praying to my family, consoling because I gave him hell. On a platter, my dad and dancing in dark matter. Just a boom bap, a certified backsnapper with the fucking rapper. I'm never one to these rippers now. Like an old man, no great hands, but I got more dope lines than fucking low head. Oh man, I'm dope with the puff of the pump and smoke. We in the hip hop, I'm closing the blow and the hope it goes. You overdose and I hope of coasting the open road. Busting shows with all you got in the end. With a broken nose, fucking hoes was a mission. I'm missing ambition. I'm sick of the bitch and I'm dissing like a superstition. I'm mission upon the top of the dome. With the tail between his thighs, I'm a wolf in the skies. These spitting lines to my spots, clicking dark and it brights out. I'm hot, but at the same time, I'm acting my age. Your words don't make any fucking sense, so I'm turning the page and feel the rage. As I'm displaying my wrath, I'm bad at math, but I know how to divide myself on the right path. I come back with a mind that's chock full of these rhymes. I redefine the very meaning of self-love. I leave it lit, free the burn, turn it down like heat that they're trying to turn it black out and black out. They need to learn about the myth is just a word. It's a word to the sun. All the people with the vision that got blurred, that's my word. Tearing out the yellow bag and collecting them. Different sections of my mind and they're dragging through hell. About to prevail, I kill them with 70 different lyrical symbols. There ain't no point in killing them. And this whole collection of whack shit. Whack spit money got you brown nose and doing backflips. Hip hop is dead, it's live and inside of me. My name is Father Flows and yo. I ain't sure how much I'm singing. Thank you guys.
So throughout this experience with the Catalyst and, you know, doing all these shows, that's when I heard about Team Backpack. Team Backpack is basically a competition where MCs from around the country get to, you know, meet at a certain location. Everyone, you know, sends in their auditions. Here's mine.
This is hip hop, I make the jaw drop non-stop. When I'm in the city, make a leg shot. Jump up and down, I'm the cat with the sound. My thunder crown as I come to your town now. Mic, check, 1, 2. I start the clowns, but I'm trying to bring a crew out. Bring it back, in fact, like an 8-track. Rooftop like I'm bringing 88 back. Ooh, never go to track so smooth. When I'm on the mic, I'm touch it with the groove now. Move your body, you know I got it. Stop. for the funk when I rock it. Take a mosh pit, squash it, put it in my pocket, lock it. You know I fit right like a socket. I'm off like a rocket, stringing the space. I can tell by your face. You just thought this bring on the mace. It's the rat race, and I'm coming in first place. A straight hustle, but they tripping on the shoelace. Checking, I'm above the law, yo. Don't fuck with this, I'm cutting raw. I'll break your jaw with the power of a titan. Destroy every single word that you're writing, smiting. All these MCs when I'm striking, biting MCs for the flame when I'm lighting. Mess up the mix, I mix with the mix. Schooling these bricks with the shit that I kick, yo. Yo, you know I bring it back. Do it one time for the backpack. Yeah. Thank you.
We all send in our audition videos, and you know, they send messages back to who they feel is you know, good enough to, you know, to perform live at the actual competition.